It's tall. It's distinctive.
It's like the palm of your hand, radiates out from a central point here.
It's graceful. It's popular.
These are vicious spines.
And parts of it are delicious.
Funding for The Desert Speaks was provided by Desert Program Partners, representing concerned viewers making a financial commitment to the education about and preservation of deserts, and by the Stonewall Foundation.
There she goes.
The palm tree has long been a symbol of deserts and the oases that made them inhabitable. For desert dwellers, a palm tree was an indicator of water, a source of shade, and most important, a provider of dates, a basic food. The date palm arrived in the southwestern United States about 100 years ago from the Middle East. The desert fan palm has been around for millions of years.
The Coachella Valley at the edge of the Sonoran Desert is the lowest and hottest inhabited place in the Western Hemisphere. It is also the place to see and learn about palms.
In the southwestern United States, the desert fan palm is the most planted landscaping tree, so it's done rather well. If you look in the Coachella Valley, there are tens of thousands of them planted, and that makes perfect ecological sense because that's where the desert fan palm originated, and it's in its home. So Palm Springs is appropriately named.
The world's expert on desert fan palms is my friend and Palm Springs resident, Jim Cornett.
Where did these fan palms come from? Were they looted?
Most of them came from some of the original oases that were here around the turn of the last century, around 1900. And some of them were pulled out of the oases and planted on the main boulevard in Palm Springs. But they put in a lot of new young palms now to replace some of the older ones that have died.
But they are really, they're the authentic palm for which Palm Spring is named.
This is desert fan palms, the same palms we've seen in the wild oases.
So Palm Springs is famous for more than just palms, huh?
Yeah, it's famous for all the Hollywood celebrities that either had full-time homes here or part-time homes. And Phyllis Diller, Bob Hope.
Bob Hope. Do your children know who Bob Hope was?
My children know who Bob Hope was. They do that.
Your grandchildren probably won't. Ginger Rogers.
I have no idea who that is.
You know, that shows how you're just one of that younger generation. And she wasn't married to Roy Rogers either.
It's good to know.
She was in the theater.
Good to know.
The desert fan palm is responsible for a lot of place names in southeastern California. Of course, there's Palm Springs, but then there's 29 Palms, 1,000 Palms, Desert Palms, Palm Oasis. All this is a tribute to Washingtonia filifera, the desert fan palm.
The Palm Canyon area, which is the largest undisturbed palm oasis on planet Earth, is being managed by the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians, and it's been land in their tribe for actually over a couple thousand years because that's how long they've been here. There are 2,511 trees here, and there's no other desert with an oasis that has as many trees as does this canyon.
It's shadowy. It's much cooler down here than it was up there.
It really is. We're surrounded by hot, dry desert, and now we're in an environment that's 25 degrees cooler than the surrounding desert, 25 degrees cooler when we're in the middle of the oasis.
So how do you tell the difference between a date palm and a desert fan palm?
Well, the easiest way to tell is by looking at the leaf, because the desert fan palm has what we call a palmate leaf. It's like the palm of your hand, radiates out from a central point here.
And you could use it as a fan.
Yes, very good fan. And it's huge.
So in the date palms, they come out like more like a feather.
Feather of a
long
bird.
thing
It's what we call a pinnately compound leaf. It has all these little leaflets coming off of the entire stem of the leaf. One of the things that's quite distinctive about the desert fan palm are these threads that peel off on the edges. The Indians would use these threads sometimes to make baskets.
It makes a great sound. Hey, listen, you imagine 40 Native Americans all at the same time ripping those off. What a
We
music
call
to
that
my
a
ears.
party.
Great sound. Nice.
Yeah. The Cahuilla Indians, the native people of this region, have lived in and around the palm oases for at least 3,000 years, and they have been managing these oases since that time. They've been collecting fruits, they've been grinding the palm fruits in bedrock mortars.
You sit like this, huh?
Yep, just like
Straddle
that.
it. And
With the pestle.
when you get tired of grinding, you look up and look at the palms out there, and you think of how cool it is down there. You get back to work again.
And they've occupied this area right up until the present time. Although today, of course, it's quite a tourist attraction, with over 200,000 tourists visiting the canyons every single year.
Well, boy, this is an impressive grove.
It is. The locals call this the cathedral because it's so elevated and so quiet in here.
And it's dark. It has a mystical feel to it.
Right in the middle of it, the sun never hits the ground, even in the summer. We're in the Colorado Desert, the hottest, driest subdivision of the Sonoran Desert, and yet we have over 2,000 palm trees here. The reason for that is there's a fault called the Palm Canyon Fault, which is an offshoot of the San Andreas Fault, that has created the canyon. And then that fault is at the base of the steepest mountains in all of North America, the northern edge of the San Jacinto Mountains. So the mountains collect an incredible amount of water when storms come through, and a lot of that water runs down these canyons year-round, providing an abundance of water in an otherwise very, very dry environment.
Man, we got water in the desert. That's a little bit unusual.
To say the least, it's not expected. They can go a few months without water, but in general, for palms to be healthy and do well, they require permanently moist soil.
That shows you that, at least recent history, this has been a well-watered canyon.
Yes, definitely.
Well, here's a weird-looking guy. This is not a tall, straight palm.
Not this one. This one has been alternately trying to get more sunlight by growing away from the other palms, and then it's also in decades past was undercut by floods that came through here, and that resulted in it tilting even further.
Oh, so it took away part of its support here, and it
Yeah.
started to go that way?
Started to lean, and now it's trying to grow back up again.
So they all want to grow toward the sun to get sun no matter what.
Yep. The desert fan palm, known to botanists as Washingtonia foliifera, named after our first president, is the only palm native to the western United States, and it's the largest palm in terms of mass and weight anywhere in North America.
Oh, this grove's got a lot of bare trunks.
It's a result of a fire that came through here in 1980 and burned all the dead leaves off the trunks. And now we can see the bark, or what I should call the pseudo-bark.
So they don't really have a bark then, do they?
No, and we call it a pseudo-bark because it looks like bark, you touch it, it feels like bark, but it's really something else. It's the base of the leaf stems is what we're seeing. And each ridge is one group of leaves that grew at the crown of the palm.
So they leave that scar.
Yeah. It's the most tolerant palm in terms of cold weather. It can tolerate temperatures well below freezing for many hours. And occasionally that happens, although less so these days. And it's also the only palm tree in the world whose dead leaves adhere to the trunk throughout the life of the palm.
So these palms don't propagate through pups or offshoots or shoots or anything like that?
No, they germinate from seeds and start from seeds like these here. This is a coyote scat, and in the coyote scat there are all these seeds of the palm. So the fruits fall from the tree, Coyotes eat the fruits to get the sweet flesh that's around it, and then they void out the seeds intact in their droppings, and then these will germinate very readily after they've gone through the coyote. They grow very fast. In certain conditions, they can put on 2 feet of woody trunk each year, and they grow very rapidly up until about 20 feet. And at that height, they'll start producing flowers first, of course, and then fruit. They can then continue living for up to 150 years, but the average lifespan of a desert fan palm is about 90 to 100 years, so about the same as a human.
These may be fan palms, but these would not make a very nice handle. These are vicious spines on here.
They're pretty wicked. We go back 10,000 years ago, mammoths would visit the oases, and the palms had these spines on their petioles which kept the mammoth from eating the growing tip. That's how they defended themselves against hungry herbivores.
They are vicious.
The good news is that desert fan palms are thriving like they never have before. A part of that, we believe, is because of global warming. It's a little bit warmer now, and the palms have tropical affinities. They love warm weather. A lot of insects live in the palm oasis. In fact, one of the most common ones is the Apache cicada. This isn't the cicada itself, this is its exoskeleton. The palms are so bottom heavy that a healthy palm will never be blown over by the wind because of this mass of thousands and thousands of roots that totally occupy the soil, making the palm heaviest on the bottom and lightest actually on the top. The other thing that's interesting about the roots is they're so dense and there's so many of them that it crowds out the root structure of any other plant species. And that's another reason that the palms are such good competitors, is no other plant can find space to grow around them because of this dense mass of roots.
The desert fan palm has survived on its own through everything that changing climates could throw at it. The date palms in the United States, however, require constant human attention. A few families have been responsible for their commercial success in the Coachella Valley.
All the ladies here would earn a little extra money in the fall when they would have the dates to grade. So no matter what you did, you had to go grade dates in the fall.
So it was seasonal work.
Oh yes.
You were married to my Uncle Kenny,
Correct.
who was the grandson of William Paul.
Right. And you're the great-grandson.
And I'm the great-grandson, one of them. When my great-grandfather showed up on this piece of land, it was all sand dunes and mesquite and brush. Just pretty adventurous pioneer types, imported dates from Algeria, Morocco, and Northern Africa. They had to go through a lot to turn this into any kind of agricultural production. This isn't the fertile Midwest we're looking at here. The U.S. government had done some studies in various areas in Arizona and Southern California here. They thought that Coachella Valley would be a great place to grow dates. It had a very similar soil type and climate and plenty of water in its aquifer. Great-grandfather used to say that palms need to have their heads in the sun and their feet in the water. So this was a place that palms could do that, and you could grow dates.
In those days, everybody was a visionary. Your grandfather, I think, recognized the fact that there was money to be made, but only if you got a large planting. You got to sell it. He was good at that.
As the fortunes of some families declined, the fortunes of other families increased.
For years, I've passed places out here in the hot desert that said date shakes. I never had the guts to try one. I suppose that an elegant person would use a spoon. Thank you, dates. The tastiest kind of date, I'm told, is called the medjool, and this tree has some. And the only way to do it here is the old-fashioned way, on a ladder. So it takes a while to get up, but I am told that it's worth it. The medjohs are supposed to be very sweet, and I hate to disrupt anybody's insect protection, but I got to move this to get to the medjohs. There's one. Now, oh, it's very sweet. This is as good a date as you'll ever get, and you know it's organic, fresh from the tree. It gives you courage, strength, and if you start oscillating on the ladder, you just eat another date. This is the old way. How much water do your trees in here use?
They'll usually use about 8 acre-feet per year per acre.
Well, that's a lot more than common.
My dad came here in 1912. He started the date orchard here soon after that. In those years, cotton was the big crop, and onions and things like that, and vegetables. And gradually they got into dates. Like the medjohs, you know, they first came in and farmers would get a small number of trees. As they produced offshoots, they would plant those and it would build up from there.
How much rainfall do they get here? I mean, this is a very dry place, right?
We get, our average rainfall here is about 3 inches per year.
I see, so basically it's all coming from irrigation.
From irrigation. Part of it is well water and part of it is from the Colorado River.
That production, though, from that 8 acre-feet, that's all food.
That's all food, and there's, per acre, you should get well over 10,000 pounds per acre.
10,000 pounds of dates per acre?
Of dates per acre.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good production.
That's a lot of food. We usually start harvest right after Labor Day, and then we're just finishing right now, which is the latter part of October. This is normal. Some varieties, it takes longer for them to mature. They go all over the country. Quite a lot of them are exported to Europe. A lot depends on the Muslim population because they are big date eaters. Most of the Americans don't come from from areas where they are used to eating dates.
Up on the drying racks, we see another reason why dates seem to do particularly well here in the heat of the Coachella Valley. Dates need hot weather to grow. They need hot, dry weather to dry to the perfect moisture content. And these will keep for a long time when the sun has done its thing. Jim, how many dates pass through your operation here a year?
Oh, about 1 million pounds through this operation and another 1 million pounds through our other packing house.
1 million pounds, so that's a lot of tonnage.
It's a lot of tonnage.
Now, where are these dates mostly going?
They'll go all over the world. Some will go to New Zealand, Australia. Some will go to various different European countries. A lot here domestically in the U.S. as well. We take pride in making sure that we have good quality dates. And in order to do that, you really have to grow them yourself. You really have to take
have the
care
control over them.
to have the control over all your quality from the growing all the way on through the packing and the boxing up of the fruit.
Well, I have to confess to you that I stole a couple of the dates I climbed up a ladder, and I was glad I did, because that represents at least 25% of the dates I've eaten in my life, and they were very good.
You need that many dates in your life, huh?
That's right, I'm going to eat more now. They were great. And what are the different types of dates? You've told me about the medjohs. What other ones do you have?
Well, another good quality one is the Deglet Noir, but there's many others. Hedes, there's Barhi dates. Barhi is a unique one in that a lot of people like to eat it in a kind of an unripe state. But there's 60, 70, 80 varieties of dates. There's a lot of dates throughout the world.
Why is it that dates don't seem to be real big, real high on the Americans' list of favorite foods?
I think it's because we grew up not being familiar with them. A lot of countries, like particularly the Middle East, because that's where they originated from, dates are a common everyday diet. Here, it hasn't been that way. It was always your Aunt Nellie's date nut bread or something like that you had dates in, rather than getting.
And that you had to eat it whether you wanted it or not.
You know, yeah. But when you try the medjool date, which is a very, like I said, a very creamy, premium date. It tastes a lot different than a lot of the other dates that we've been used to. And a lot of people that have not liked dates, I've convinced to like them just by trying that variety.
Yeah, Jim, it strikes me that we got a natural cycle here. The dates originated in the Middle East. The plants came here, the production is here, and a lot of it goes back to people who are Middle Eastern origin. Is that correct?
Well, yes, a lot of the trees, all the trees technically came from the Middle East at one point or another. The medjool is unique in that it came from Morocco, part of the Middle East. It was wiped out by a soil-borne disease there. Came here, it was quarantined and grown here. Now all of the medjools originate from here. Some have gone back to like Israel and some other sections of the Middle East, but now the big medjool production is here in the U.S.
Commercial date palms require irrigation. The native desert fan palms grow wild only where water occurs naturally, in some cases courtesy of geological faults.
We can generally classify palm oases into two types. There are canyon oases, then there are fault line oases, oases associated with the San Andreas Fault. Once we get into very deep alluvial soils, whatever water is running on the surface or even beneath the surface sinks so far down that the palm roots can't get it anymore.
Whenever you can see the palms, you know that there is water you can maybe dig to.
Dig to, yeah. You know there's water at or near the surface, probably so close that you could reach it with a shovel.
If I'm looking out, looking north here, across the Coachella Valley, and the fault is where?
Well, we're driving north along the Palm Canyon Fault, and 10 miles north from here, the Palm Canyon Fault runs smack into the San Andreas Fault.
So it's like a T?
Yes.
When we were up in the Palm Canyon, we see palms, but they're down in the bottom of the canyon in water.
Right.
And here they're on this arid hillside. So what's going on?
Well, we're walking along the San Andreas Fault. And in this particular area, how water reaches the palms is a little bit different than where we were.
Where is the water coming from? I mean, this is very dry country.
What happens is to the north of us are some mountains, the little San Bernardino Mountains in Joshua Tree National Park. And when it rains and snows up there, the water sinks into the soil and runs underground to the lowest point in the area, which is the bottom of the Coachella Valley. But the water never reaches there because as it comes underground, it hits the fault. And that fault is moving back and grinding against each other, and it has ground up the soil so fine that the water can't get through it.
It can't get by the fault.
Can't get by the fault. And so it's dammed up underground, and eventually it rises to the surface, which provides all the water the palms need.
So we are now crossing the San Andreas Fault, you guarantee me?
Right. We're standing right now on the Pacific Plate, and now we're going to jump across to the North American Plate.
And it's not dangerous?
Unless there's an earthquake.
All right. On three. 1, 2, 3.
We made it.
Ah.
And this is what underground blocks the flow of water from the north to the south across the fault. It can't get through this when it's tightly packed together. There are no spaces in between the soil particles. And so this is the dam.
So water's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, it wants to go downhill, but it can't go any further than the fault.
And so we have palms.
Fire sometimes is thought to be a hazard to palm oases, but it's not. The palms thrive in a fire regime. In fact, in our studies, we found that the more frequent the fire, the more rapidly palms colonize an area. These are the fruits of the desert fan palm. They're pretty tasty, and I've collected quite a few of them because I thought you might want to try them. They've been pasteurized.
Pasteurized. Well, all right. I trust you so much, Jim.
Okay.
Oh, hard seed.
Yeah, don't bite. I forgot to tell you that. Don't
Thanks.
bite into the seed.
Tastes like a micro date. However, I will confess they are sweet.
You're probably right.
They're quite good. It's easy to be pessimistic about the future of many of the world's deserts and the plants and animals that live there. But the reverse is the case with the desert fan palm. Its populations are healthy, its numbers are increasing, and its distribution is expanding. And while global climate change is placing stress on many organisms, the desert fan palm is happy.
For thousands of years, the desert in the shadows of the towering Andes of northwestern Peru has been a strategic crossroads for imperial trade. Advanced pre-Incan cultures left behind hand-carved mountaintop canals,
Almost 10,000 years. In fact, they are.
ancient burial sites, and monuments now overwhelmed by encroaching cities. Next time on The Desert Speaks.
One of the interesting things about the spines is that we found that if you examine the leaf stems of a palm that's 26 feet in height, there are no spines. They're completely gone. And
They don't need them up there?
they don't need them up there. We wondered why they stopped producing them at that height, and what we found out was that the highest that the imperial mammoth could reach with its trunk when it was on its tippy toes was 24 feet.
Funding for The Desert Speaks was provided by Desert Program Partners, representing concerned viewers making a financial commitment to the education about and preservation of deserts, and by the Stonewall Foundation,